Hi friends, if you are an architect or an engineer or any professional attached with construction or real estate industry or even a common man or housewife, then it is for sure that you are facing water leakage, seepage, damp, crack in structure related issues in your building, project or property. It's sure because probably there are very few buildings where there is no issue pertaining to damp, water seepage, water leakage, etc. And we are facing it repeatedly in every of our building, project and property. So this problem is pervasive in nature and we have to face it again and again throughout our life as well as in our professional career. Now, the next hurdle is whenever you will go for a waterproofing solution, the challenge will come whether it would be cementitious type with or without acrylic polymer, SBR or modified cementitious type, single or two components, or we should go for APP or EPDM type of waterproofing. There are SBS, PVC, HDPE membrane type waterproofing as well, which could be unbonded, fully bonded and compartmentalized. Nowadays, we can get crystalline type waterproofing along with PU or polyurea type as well. So many, so forth. And the alarming fact is that being the specialized subject matter, even very few consultants can understand where to use what waterproofing system and the probable pros and cons of it. Otherwise, as you have seen, even after spending huge, the problem will still remain as it is. But the good news is your wait is over. Smart Engineers has done detailed research on it and the same is being presented here for your knowledge and use. Hence, to get hugely benefited, you can't afford to miss this informative video anymore. Stay tuned and watch till end and unlock the hidden potentiality. It is an effective compilation of useful knowledge as available, blended with practical exposures and experiences earned, to make it a complete and foolproof solution of waterproofing for your building, project or property. Hello friends, this is Abhijit Datta, BTech PGDBA from IIT Kharagpur, fellow and chartered engineer from the Institute of Engineers India, registered valuer of IBBI, that is Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India, IGBC AP, that is accredited professional of the Indian Green Building Council, EAC, that is empaneled structural engineer, and LBS, that is licensed building surveyor from KMC, Kolkata. You are watching our YouTube channel, Smart Engineers. As you know, in Smart Engineers, our motto is to discuss about the subject matter which are not covered adequately in our college course curriculum, but there is a huge demand or requirement in practical or professional field or in industry. Let's try to bridge this huge gap between the academia and industry and develop our country. Before we proceed further, request you all to subscribe our this informative channel and press bell icon for immediate all future notification and updation. Friends, If you haven't watched our earlier two career advancement videos, that is how to earn IGBC AP certification in next 2 weeks, that too in first attempt, and how to become IBBI registered valuer and earn huge, please watch them and get hugely benefited. Also, check out our practical research work on pre-stress concrete and how to do EPDM flooring, and just the last video, that is on a foolproof solution for building waterproofing smart engineering approach. You can't afford to miss all these videos for your knowledge updation and career development. Links of all these videos are already there in the description box. Please check it out and also check our YouTube video for your ready reference. Post our general video on building waterproofing. This particular video made dedicatedly for basement or underground structure waterproofing. You will be amazed to note that basement and underground structure faces various different types of stresses and exposures to environment which require special type of waterproofing for these areas. So stay tuned till the end to get the overall knowledge and expertise in this particular type of waterproofing. Disclaimer: Preambles. Basement and below ground civil engineering structures protected with appropriate waterproofing solutions have increased living comfort and wider possibilities for use, plus the total cost of ownership is reduced and the durability is increased for the entire service life of the project or the property. Waterproofing systems for below ground structures are faced with more stringent requirements regarding durability, exposure and stress conditions, construction method and sequence, ease of application and total cost management. As we know, basement or any below ground structure that is formed by a base slab that is wrapped, retaining wall and a top or grade slab is particularly of full exposed to the surrounding soil and groundwater, resulting in specific exposure and stress from the prevailing permanent or temporary environmental conditions. Of late, most of the buildings designed for a service life of minimum 50 years. Hence, needless to mention, any lack of watertightness severely reduces the long-term durability of a building or other below-ground structure and badly affects its planned use, as water ingress will result in physical attack and deterioration of the concrete. This leads to expensive structural repair works, damage or loss of interior finishes and goods, operational downtime, or serious impact on the internal environment from damp and condensation. The selection of the appropriate waterproofing methods, the project-specific design of the chosen waterproofing system, and its correct execution on site are key elements in minimizing the total cost of ownership. A waterproofing system typically amounts to less than 1% of the total cost of construction. Yet, the selection of a high-quality waterproofing solution can easily save this amount or more. As we can see here, basement or underground structure faces various kind of stresses and exposures. Static force, temperature variation, apart from that, biological attack, water pressure, gas, and aggressive groundwater. Here, the type of exposure and stresses are mentioned in detail. Where basement is planned to use as a car parking, another dimension is there, that dynamic force due to the movement of vehicles. Exposure impact on below ground structures. As you can see, the list of exposures vis-a-vis impact on structure. These different types of exposures may adversely influence the use, water tightness and durability of a basement structure, resulting in a reduced service life of the entire structure. Hope we have understood that basement or underground structures require special type of waterproofing treatment. Before we proceed further, request you all to go through our earlier presentation, that is on building waterproofing. In this presentation, we have captured the overall concept of building waterproofing, which is a must before proceeding with basement waterproofing system. As you can understand, selection of appropriate type of waterproofing treatment for your project basement or underground structure is an imperative task and shall be done very meticulously by SME, that is subject matter expert. Nowadays, there are at least more than a dozen of waterproofing treatments are available for basement waterproofing. Out of those, based on your project requirement, specific type to be finalized. Selection of wrong method may ruin your project or property. Selection of suitable type of waterproofing largely depends on the existing groundwater table during summer and monsoon of the project premises. Four commonly used basement waterproofing systems are PMC, that is Polymer Modified Cementitious based, Crystalline based, unbonded or fully bonded membrane type, and hybrid type. Here we will start with PMC, that is Polymer Modified Cementitious type waterproofing. Please go through the slide. In general, if the existing underground water table during monsoon is considerably below than the basement raft bottom, elastomeric, flexible, single or double component, modified or pure, acrylic or polymer based waterproofing treatment is recommended. The SOP or standard operating procedure for PMC or polymer modified cementitious type waterproofing is depicted here. Please go through in detail. Here it is step 3 and 4. The second type of waterproofing for underground structure or basement is crystalline based. Where underground water table is moderate or where waterproofing can't be done from positive or outer side, we may go for integral capillary concrete or commonly known as crystalline type waterproofing. Now, let's see the SOP of crystalline type waterproofing. Efficiency of crystalline waterproofing is depend on the amount of pores and microcracks in mother concrete. Crystalline waterproofing works in pore blocking mechanism. Major advantages: the conventional concrete matrix has an inherent property of microcracks, pores, and capillary tracts through which water enters into the concrete. When crystalline compound is applied on the concrete, it gradually dry out even on facing high hydrostatic pressure. Please take a look how this works. Water passes through the capillary tracts in concrete. The tracts have a width of 0.1 to 4 mm. Once crystalline product applied in the concrete, the chemical reaction follows these void and cracks to be filled into its sizable crystals. Water is unable to pass through these crystals formations. The concrete becomes waterproof. The ability of crystalline product to penetrate deep inside the concrete structure, even if applied on the negative side and against high hydrostatic pressure, is a result of a complex chemical reaction involving tripartite reactions and Brownian membranes. The crystalline formation ensures the result of this reaction prevents water to moving through but still allows air to pass, thus avoiding vapor pressure to build up inside the concrete. Should new crack develops through other line in the concrete, crystalline crystals will appear to this crack as well, preventing water to get through the new way. Few disadvantages: that crystalline type waterproofing does not work well in exposed sunlighted area, an area where free lime is not available in concrete. Representation on application of crystalline type waterproofing in underground structure or basement. Application from positive as well as negative side. Application near pile cap or foundation. A brief indicative specification for crystalline type waterproofing. Its application, curing, coverage, and testing. Please go through in detail. Now, unbonded or fully bonded membrane type waterproofing for our underground structure or basement. Fully bonded membrane bonds directly with the structural concrete in pre or post application. Its benefits: fully bonded membrane, few options: sand finished MOD bituminous membrane, FPO membrane with bonding layer, and HDPE membrane. Here few unbonded membrane and their pros and cons. Plain finished MOD bituminous membrane, PVC membrane, plain HDPE membrane. Now we will go through pre-applied fully bonded membrane type waterproofing for our underground structure or basement. Where water table is considerably higher, HDPE and SBS membrane type treatment is recommended. HDPE and SBS membranes are used outer side of basement raft and retaining wall respectively. Considering the level of existing groundwater table and proposed basement raft bottom, thickness of HDPE and SBS membranes are to be decided. Here it is the application process of HDPE and SBS membrane. Surface preparation, membrane laying and overlapping, placing of reinforcement and casting of concrete. What is fully bonded system? Fully bonded system is a HDPE based sheet membrane comprising of a virgin HDPE layer coated with a high bond strength adhesive covered by a waterproof protective sand sprinkled layer for below ground pre-applied waterproofing of reinforced concrete structures. Various layers of HDPE membrane depicted here. Addressing water migration, micro compartmentalization, installation of HDPE membrane, side overlaps, end overlaps, standard operating procedure for HDPE membrane below raft. First it's compacted soil, then lean concrete, HDPE sheet loosely laid, HDPE sheet jointing of overlaps, reinforcement with spacer, pre-applied fully bonded waterproofing system. Reinforcement, no protection screed, detailing of pits, various sums, lip pits, etc. Where pile foundation is there underneath the raft or basement, here it's the build up pile head detailing. Next slide of pile head detailing. Now a brief work method statement. Surface preparation, various processes to lay the HDPE membrane, precise overlapping, removing plastic liner, joining end laps, vertical storage of membranes, vertical application till raft pouring level. Now the interesting part, pile head development. First it is raw pile head, then placing mold around the pile head profiling with grout, pile head treated with epoxy grout. Now, membrane around pile, PU coating around pile termination, placing of pressure release pipe where water table is much higher, tape application around the pipe, PU coating followed by sand sprinkle around the pipe. In case of any damage while laying the HDPE sheet, it's the procedure for damage repair. Next slide on damage repair. Now, few brief advantages of HDPE membrane type waterproofing. A brief technical specification of the membrane and its important parameters to be considered while selection of the membrane. Basement waterproofing challenges. Now, a brief presentation about basement waterproofing existing systems where we used to apply torch applied membranes, self-adhesive type of membranes and liquid applied membranes. Here there are pros and cons. Now the SBS membrane which we will be using for our vertical wall or retaining wall. SBS is a double-sided bitumen waterproofing membrane. It is modified bitumen, generally 1.5 to 2 mm thick for wet application with cross-limited HDPE carrier film. Special modified cementitious adhesive is required for the wet bonding of membrane. SBS membrane works based on an unique combination of sheet membrane and mortar technology to achieve a full surface bonding. Here it is the build-up of application of HDPE membrane on vertical wall. Next slide on the build-up. Advantages. Now we will see the methodology of application of SBS type membrane. First, its surface preparation, primer application, membrane installation, post to that termination of membrane, protection with XPS and backfill. This is the cross-sectional detail of HDPE and SBS type of waterproofing membrane we generally use for our underground structure and basement. Please go through in detail. A brief item description of HDPE and SBS membrane type waterproofing for your ready reference and use. It goes without saying that we need to compare all technical parameters of these two types of membrane before selecting a particular one for our project. Now, it's the hybrid type system. As the name depicts, the hybrid type system is an appropriate combination of any two of the above mentioned systems. Here is the presentation. Please go through in detail. Apart from the systems, as you are aware, we need to adhere the first and second line of defense as well. For that, please refer our YouTube video on building waterproofing thoroughly. Here few particular second line of defense recommended for basement or underground structure waterproofing. Now, a very important concept about pressure release pipes and rock anchorage arrangements. As you know, depending upon the underground water table, we need to calculate what could be the upward thrust of pore water pressure under the basement. The thumb rule is for each meter downward level of basement, the water pressure would be 1 metric ton per square meter. Now, considering the formation level, that is the PCC bottom level, we need to calculate what could be the upward load on my basement vis-a-vis the total downward load of my structure. During construction, definitely the downward load of the structure would be much lesser than the upward load of the water. Due to this, it is always recommended that during excavation and subsequent PCC, rough concreting, etc., we should lower the underground water table at least 1 or 1.5 meter below the formation level. Now, considering the underground water table and the probable upward thrust and the downward building load, we need to provide this kind of pressure release pipes in our basement. Needless to mention, to lower the water table 1 meter or 1.5 meter below the formation level, sometimes well point dewatering system is required. Apart from this, where the water table is considerably higher, sometimes post providing these pressure release pipes, we need to make an arrangement of networks with these pipes along with the sump and required pumps to dewater during the construction phase. It is important to mention here that in case of pile foundation is there underneath the basement raft, there we may not be able to provide this kind of pipe because pipes are not required as pile itself will take all these upward thrust of pore water pressure. Also, we need to study the soil exploration report, and if we find that clay is available in our formation level, there also we can avoid providing this kind of pressure release pipe. But in particular case where the underneath water pressure is much higher considering the building vertical weight, there we need to provide rock anchorage if we don't get the advantage of pile foundation there. Hope the concept is clear. While providing this kind of pressure release pipe, we need to take care about its waterproofing arrangements as well. A detailed schematic for installation of pressure release pipe vis-a-vis its waterproofing arrangements are depicted here. Please go through in detail and refer this during your execution. Now, it's the brief SOP, that is standard operating procedure of basement waterproofing works. please go through in detail. Few important tools of the trade mentioned here for your ready reference and use. Quality workmanship and assurance. As we are aware, this specialized job shall be executed with experienced, competent contractors with regular technical checks and supervision. A quality assurance certificate with a 10-year guarantee on stamp paper as per the approved format shall be provided by the applicator as well as the parent manufacturing company whose chemicals are going to be used. Now, indicative cost impact of these three types of waterproofing systems. First, it is PMC, that is Polymer Modified Cementitious Waterproofing Works. Now it is crystalline type waterproofing systems with all materials, labors, tools and tackles. The third one is fully bonded membrane system. We conducted a cost study in one of our projects, and interestingly it's found that the estimated cost for HDPE and SBS membrane vis-a-vis crystalline both were nearly same. Thank you. Hope you will find this informative video very useful, and further, if you wish to implement the same in your building or project or property and organization and add or earn values, may contact us for further supports. Once again, request you all to subscribe our this informative channel and press bell icon for immediate all future updation and notification. Also share with your friends and contacts you feel will be of their use, because sharing is caring. Thank you all. Hope to see you in next video. Namaskar.